So when it comes to dysfunction in your muscles, we can talk a lot about different kinds of ways to fix them. We talk a lot about massages, we talk about, self massages, we talk about movement, we talk about stretches, we talk about yoga. And with this video, I really want to emphasize that I realized the most important one is movement. Now, this may seem obvious to you, but let me tell you my story so you can really understand where I'm coming from here. So I used to be a competitive judoka, right? And I was active, so I moved a lot. So there wasn't really a problem with movement. Yet I was stiff all over and had a lot of dysfunction. So I was using some musculature more than others and probably not in the correct way. So proper movement is and stretches to heal those dysfunctions are very important. Now, as we do move like regular human beings, we do a lot of sitting. That's a great example. So when we sit down, we sit in this position and the musculature in our hips get progressively more tighter and more dysfunctional. So how should we fix this? Well, the easiest solution is, of course, to put it in a stretched position and really make sure that iliopsoas that we, make dysfunctional by sitting the entire day gets more functional by stretching it again to a length that's more healthy. This is what I used to do. So I had a lot of dysfunctions. I used to do all of these stretches, and then I used to do some massages. That's also something we can do. We can massage the musculature that's gotten progressively stiffened by sitting all these days. And by doing that, they get smooth again, and it starts working again. So that's a great way to treat this, right? Well, I thought so too. But then when I progressed through life, I actually got a lot of anxiety. And I noticed that I was getting stiff again. I was getting really, progressively stiff. I had dysfunction in my muscles again. So I returned to the exercises, the practices, the treatments that I was used to. I used to do stretching and I used to do massages. But this time, they didn't work. I didn't feel better. I didn't get less stiff. I just stayed the same way and actually got progressively more tighter in those different musculatures. So what was going on? Well, anxiety makes you tense up your muscles, and you cannot counteract this when it comes to, you cannot counteract this. You have to work on your anxiety first before you can make sure your muscles relax. So, okay, learned another lesson, had to deal with my anxiety. It took a couple of years, but after those years, my muscles relaxed again. So my muscles were more relaxed, but they still hurt during different positions and during different exercises. I still had pain in my musculature. But I was like, okay, I fixed my anxiety. So now I can return to the exercises I did before, stretches, mobilizations, massages, and it will work again, right? But it didn't. I used to have a lot of pain in my hips, in my internal rotation muscles. And I worked on them by stretching, by doing soft tissue work, but nothing worked. It just didn't become painless again. It stayed the same. And I couldn't figure out why that was. So I started going back to the book that started it all for me, which is Becoming a Supple Leopard by Kelly Starrett. This is the book that taught me all the techniques, all the soft tissue work, all the movement work that I had learned. And one sentence that I read changed it all for me. It said, if it's not moving, get it moving. And there I was. I realized what I was not doing. I was stretching, mobilizing, but through years of inactivity, through my anxiety period, I wasn't moving. And so then when I started moving again, and I started moving by doing stretches, that wasn't enough for my body. Let's take the example of the hip flexor again. So the iliopsoas, if it becomes progressively tight by sitting all these years, we would try to fix it by doing the stretch this way. But what if we're not doing just a stretch, but what if we're adding movement to it? We're doing a lunge, and then when we come up, we flex the musculature involved in this movement. Boom. Control, nice force production in the hips. And we do it again. Boom. And I started doing this every single day for a couple of weeks. And after a couple of weeks, finally, the pain in my hips started to go away. And I could get in this position way more quickly and way more easily. So that is when I realized, this is the problem. I have been making my muscles used to not moving, and they give a warning signal, pain, when I put them in a movement. so I need to let them move again. This is also explained. I'm not that. This is also explained when we talk about fascia. I'm not going to dive too deep into what fascia is in this video, but basically, it's important to realize fascia is really adaptive. So when we move, like we're supposed to do as human beings, these tissues are really smooth, really moving, bendy, elastic. And when you're not moving them, they actually get harder and harder and less movable. So they atrophy, is basically what I'm saying. They're getting more like stone and less like something that really moves and is supposed to move. So the way to fix this is to move again. So let me give you I just gave you the example when it comes to the hip flexor. Boom, boom, we use this one. I also had a lot of pain for internal rotation of the hips. So what we can do to fix that is we can, what I used to do, let me tell you that first. What I used to do is I'd have this stretch. I put a weight right there, and then I would focus here. So now I'm doing internal rotation of my hips, but it's a stretch, right? It's just a position where I'm in. This can have value, but not if you are as dysfunctional as I am. So how do we fix this? Well, we put it into movement. So we put our feet pointed outwards, which is usually a bad squat position, but now it's a good squat position because we're going to use our internal rotation of the hips. So I'm going to put them bam to the ground, get them back up, put them here, get them back up. Now what I'm doing is I'm using the stretch, but I'm also using the musculature involved to get movement into this system. I can do this as fast or as slow as I want to. I can take my time. I can have all the control in the world to do this exercise. If this is too difficult, you can also make it much easier. For example, go like this. Not as deep as I just did. There are so many ways you can use movements to regain what you have lost, namely the ability for your fascia to move as they are intended to do. So that's what I would always say if you're trying to get rid of dysfunction in your body. First, I'm not going to lie, you probably need to fix your anxiety if that's an issue for you, because you will, if you don't fix your anxiety, you will unconsciously flex your body because it's in a state of fight or flight the entire time, and it will be very difficult to relax and to work on healthy tissues. If that's not an issue for you, then you need to prioritize movement. Now, use your brain, right? Don't go from 0 to 100. Take your time, be controlled, but be consistent. If you can't do it every day, do it every other day. And if you do it every day, and after a while you feel like, I'm overworking my muscles a little bit, then take a day off. It's not rocket science, but movement should be the priority. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you in the next one.